heart-wrenching and just, so difficult. I think about my life, what my life would be if I didn't have kids, and how free and just like stress-free and I mean, it'd be, that normal everyday stress of life, but there wouldn't be this worry about these other people that I'm responsible for. It's so difficult. Anyway, fuck Israel. I was looking up Susan Lindauer today. Stumbled across her, and I was wondering where she is in 2025. Does anyone know? Anyone even know who I'm talking about? She's the CIA asset, 9/11 whistleblower. And I can't help but like I don't think our TV is like it is manipulation free, is a real truther network. I don't think that's how that works. And I don't think, when you get to the point where, like, okay, so years and years and years ago, this dude I used to know, his name was Odd and Liz had this radio morning, Matt, this podcast called Odd World Radio, or Mad World Radio, something like that. Yeah, I think that was it. And he he was great. He gave us airtime. He would let us come on and hang out. We'd come hang out, and then because we became friends, and instead of it just being a sort of business relationship, we ended up getting drug into a lot more of their personal shit than I would have ever wanted to be in, and blah, blah, blah. But at one point, they had this kid. Well, it was her kid, but he had been there since the kid was born, even though they ended up splitting up, whatever. But the school that the kid went to was doing this goofy parade. I mean, the kid was like 8, 7, something like that. It was little kid stuff. But they were doing this parade through the neighborhood, and he looked up the route that they were going to take, and it happened to go in front of this pedo's house. So when the permission slip came home for him to do it, they refused to sign it. They said they didn't want their kid to be a part of it. Well, the day of the thing came, and the school took the kid on the parade anyway. And he blew a fucking gasket. And, I mean, regardless of what you think about it, the fact is, a permission slip was sent home. The parents refused to partake and refused to sign, and the school did it anyway. That shouldn't happen. But the story got picked up by the news, and then the national news picked it up. And they were gonna... And Ada and Liz, they were a team. And it might even have been Hannity. They're all such, the talking heads are all the same, so I'm not really sure which is which. But it was like was one of those kind of guys. And so they interview him, and the interview is maybe 20 seconds, 30 seconds, where they ask, like, so what did you do, blah, blah, and then they go, well, isn't this just a ploy to bring more views to your fledgling radio show? Kind of like they immediately attacked him over it. And he was like, he didn't even get the chance to say, look, how did I know the fucking news would pick this up and shit like that? He didn't know. He just didn't want his kid to be a part of something. He didn't want his kid to be paraded in front of a fucking pedophile's house, literally. But before he could say anything, Hannity just, or whoever it was, just cut him off, and that the interview was just over. And that's what real people experience. I could validate that Odd was a real person. I had hung out, been to his house, seen his family, blah, blah, blah. I knew that he was a real person involved in this thing. And it was so frustrating because, he was then paraded as this example and, sort of made fun of and whatnot. And that was that. So when you see stuff like, Susan Lindauer being given a platform as she was, I don't know, man. I don't know how many of you are here mentally where you question all of it. You're given certain aspects of things, and instead of picking and choosing which things you believe, you think it's all bullshit, and it's up to the system to prove to you that they're not, that what they're saying is true. That was fun. Nick's just in Nick mood. See if we get a phone call. I actually pulled him back out and tried to talk to him. He was just, he's you. It's so strange. I'm going, huh? I'm going, dude, why, why are you being like this? Nobody did anything to you today. Why are you so upset? What happened? Why are you the victim? You got your breakfast, you got to play your game, you got to do, like, what? You the one that took advantage. You're the one that lied over and over again. Yeah, I did that. Yeah, I did that when you didn't do it. What are you mad at me for? I'm not mad. I swear, it's like talking to you. It's crazy. Kamalish. Hello. So I want to look her up. I want to see where she is in 2025. Susan Lindauer. I don't know if you've seen her before. You seen this chick before?
A lot of research now is dedicated toward discovering how wild and native pollinators to the regions could actually provide.
Strange 1996, Markovian parallax. Denigrate, unset posts remain a mystery. What's that have to do with it? Israel's terror, cyber attack on Lebanon, Hungarian CEO role as intermediary under scrutiny. Why would this come up? This is a weird. The Palestine Chronicle. Hungarian intelligence services have interrogated Cristina Barsoni Archidonakono, Archidiakono, CEO of Budapest-based BAC Consulting, regarding the pagers that recently exploded in Lebanon. Oh yeah, we forgot about that, right? You guys forgot about how Israel intercepted all of those somehow. Like it's funny that story is just funny. That's what I'm saying. Like, are we to believe that there are no reporters, no officials, nobody that gives a shit about the pagers? Like, I even forget about it. And it's something that's a huge deal to me. You know? It's the pretext to what is happening now. And it's the proof of what I've been telling you this whole time, that Lebanon, Syria, like Israel, it's not about free Palestine. That's the end of that's the real goal, or the real thing. It's not free Palestine. Free Palestine is yesterday's story. What do you tell the Lebanese to free Palestine? Is that what you say? What's crazy is that if saying free Palestine is you saying end Israel, but you just won't say it. You've been programmed not to say it. But it's like, I'm still waiting for the story because it's a troll. It's a fucking troll, man. Trolls do that. But the whole pager thing, the pagers and what else was it? It was pagers, and I think it was cell phones or laptops or something. You guys remember this? Do you even remember this story? One day in Lebanon, all these people who have pagers, their shit just starts exploding. Fucking little bomb is inside of those. Do you understand? Like, the technology and the like when you when we talk about how much more advanced the system is than what they let us know, that's a great example. And I know your pagers, that's the previous. Yeah, sure, pagers. But to have little tiny explosives that go off based on a certain frequency, or who knows, we don't know, because that whole story has just been buried. They just buried it. What? Nothing to check up on, nothing to learn about, because there's no investigation. There's nothing going on. Hundreds and hundreds of civilians were maimed or killed, injured, maimed, killed, because somehow Israel intercepted all of these devices, took them apart, put whatever the little tiny explosive was inside them, and then whatever transmitter needed to be there to make it happen, and then put them back into rotation. How did Israel intercept these things? When was the explosive put in? Was it put in the factory when it was originally made? I went live. Comment, stay happy. Support is important. You are correct. And if you're watching, like, share, and sub. Make sure you do those things. I mean, look at how stupid the comments are. Like, they obviously can't address what's being said. They don't know. And they don't want us. They don't want us talking about this shit. But every time, like, somebody like Suzanne Lindauer gets any sort of press, like I always think, like once you're CIA, and when they say, oh, CIA whistleblower, well, I mean, you were willing to do all the other shit. You were willing to do the horrible shit, and then suddenly this thing happened and made you change your mind. You know, it's all here for us to see and experience, and it's not hidden well. It's right in your face. They want you to know your place. They want you to know Israel is your master. They want you to know the Jays control things. Oh, here, this is that thing where they're talking about engineering mosquitoes. It's fucking scary, and this shit's this shit's old. I mean, I just don't like everybody. Nobody lives this life where they're just like everything's great. Do. You know, everybody sees issues in the system that we're in, and a lot of you, I guess, have been programmed to think the devil did it. I guess, I don't know. But it just, you know, we're so much better than they want us to think we are. And the average person, like I say, they're not walking around like everything's great. The average person thinks that there's a bunch of shit wrong. You know, they think that like the system is broken, and politics are this, and you know, what about this, and like we all have our bitches, and it like it doesn't, like my wife definitely doesn't think that things can like get better, right? Most of us don't think it can get better. Most of us think it's like we're on a runaway train just headed towards doom. And then when you try to say, okay, well, you know, why do you think that way? And why do you think we can't, you know, it has to go this route? Most of us think it's because, you know, we hate our own brothers and sisters. We've been turned against each other. And you know, we're told not to actually address what the problem is. But everybody thinks something's wrong. So like, how do you do that? How do you limit your scrutiny? How do you say, I'm going to question things, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, but only up until this point? I mean, it's just strange, man. It's strange how to me it's all really obvious. Like yesterday, me reading the book of Revelations, and like I just can't. Like, it's one thing when I'm reading it and it's just kind of like it's goofy, blah blah blah. But then when you stop and you think, like, there are people like Ginger who would just sit there and like cry and pray, and like they literally believe there are eyeball monsters around God. You know, God's golden throne, and then he has the one ring of eyeball monsters, and then the ring of 20 and 4 and 20 elders, and they sit there and they just chant things all day. Everything is so obvious, and I get called crazy if I say certain things around normal NPCs. It is strange, man. Because when you try to understand them, like Matt, you're actually a really great, you're really great in this because you're someone who used to believe that shit. You were a Trump supporter. I assume you believed in God at some point. And how do we bridge that gap? You're an example of how we bridge the gap. You're like the missing link, And it's like, what is it that it takes? I mean, it seems like it takes personal shit, people to experience personal things, but then still, like I guarantee if we went and asked the neighbor who had the religious experience, if she believes
non-religious
right,
experience.
but I would imagine by this point she's sort of reconciled and has somehow convinced herself of something that brought her back in. And I'm trying. I'm trying to figure things out. It's not, I know a lot of people just do a YouTube feed so they can feed their own ego. Sure. To me, it's about nobody else is saying these things. So if nobody else is saying it, somebody has to. I guess I have to. I don't know why I see things this way. I don't know why I think about things this way, but that's why I need people like Matt. It's quite complex to help figure it out because I never believed in God. There was never a point in my lifetime where that shit made even as the youngest kid I can remember being exposed to that, I just thought, like, what are you talking about? That's fucking stupid. There's nobody up there. It won't overcome if you embody open-mindedness. I explained and typed a bigger comment above that. Well, it's not there. Strange. But I think it's weird. Like, if you were to ask me about something I believe in or think or whatever, and my response was to be like, man, I'm not going to talk about that. Oh, I avoid the conversation. That would fuck with me. If I realized that about myself, like that I can't explain why I believe something or think about something. I might not have all of the answers to it. But I definitely don't get mad when people ask me about shit. Shit happens every time. YouTube wants to hide me. Yeah. I think most kids submit to believe in God to go along and get along. Yeah, for sure. I think at some point, all the kids that supposedly believe in God, they ask a question. They question it. As a kid, you question the shit. And at some point, you'll say to your mom, like, okay, hey, Mom, why aren't we feeding the homeless? If the Bible says we're supposed to help everybody, why do we walk by all those homeless people? Can't we just bring them in and give them a room to sleep in? And just like your typical Christian in an everyday setting, the mom gets mad at you, says, we don't question those things. We don't talk about that. Oh, she gives you some kind of bullshit excuse. And maybe you do question it a few more times, but the more you question it, the more you can see it makes your mom mad, or you even get in trouble. Like there are plenty of religious people that, if you ask a question, you're going to get in trouble. So I don't like. There's clearly nothing that's ever shown to the kid or given to the kid to facilitate that belief. It's forced on them, and it's just like anything else. Like if you get you get it forced on you. You're. Where's that transition? When does that take place? When does it? How does that work for the people? Like, I always ask, like, what is it? What is the thing that makes you go, oh yeah, okay, this actually is real? Really true, Craig. Did you see my big comment, or is it hinged? Can you still see it on your end, Matt?
You guys see this? That they just found in the rock a whole fossilized insect.
Of course they did. They just found that, huh? The show was coming. They went over to the spot and then they found the thing. "46 million years old? How do you know that?" Well, yeah, you can see it, and that's funny. I mean, again, I think it just comes down to, like, I don't know. To me, if you show me something and it's obvious, if you're like, look, the shirt's red, I'm going to be like, I guess the shirt's red. Like, okay, I can see it, it's red. If you tell me you have on a red shirt, I'm going to assume you're not lying, but I don't know that's the truth. Maybe I should break it up into multiple comments. Yeah. Try it that way. It's just strange, man. I feel like most of the time when it comes to religion, I know more than the average Christian does about their own thing. And you'll get people that'll say things like, oh, well, you just don't read the Bible. And okay, well, you do, so let's hear it. Give me that biblical stuff that proves the point, ends the argument. Like that doofus, the pedophile supporter doofus, Odysseus or whatever. I'm sure he'll show up. This person came into the feed, was saying something about how the Bible talks about you should treat women well. I asked, where was that? And they said, oh, I think it's Genesis 12 or 7, I don't remember. So I looked it up. Nope. It's about something else. Then he was like, oh, well, it's all of Genesis. And nope, that's not what Genesis is. Then he brought up Deuteronomy something or other. And that wasn't it. And it was like, doesn't that bother you? Isn't it strange how, like, the Jesus God that loves you so much gave you the book of answers? It's got all the answers in it. If you can decode the strange language it's in, I mean, I don't even understand. It's like people talk about the decoding, but the Bible's not supposed to be decoded. It's not supposed to be interpreted. It's not supposed to be, it's supposed to be taken literally. It's 2025, and you grew up in modern day society. So you start going, oh, well, no, that's just an allegory. The guy that lived in a big fish, that's just an allegory. It's an allegory. Or you have guys like Craig who are like, oh, they're just talking about astrology. No, they're not. It's just, I always think it's strange how so many of the average Christian is smart enough to see through it and say some of the right things, but yet still brainwashed enough to believe it, right? To they think they'll go to hell or some kind of stupid shit, so they hang on to this thing. Or the people that go, yeah, well, no, I believe in God. I'm not religious, but I believe in God. or I believe in a higher power. It's all religious. Yeah, man. I walked away from the screen for a few minutes and was just listening. So you can see it. Okay, basically, in a nutshell, most people cannot confront their own issues. They fail to acknowledge they don't know it all and proceed to be ignorant, as knowing the truth comes with many burdens at first and confuses many, leaving them lost. You know, that sounds like a very boilerplate kind of response, and I'm not knocking you. I think that's, again, how we're supposed to respond to that. But that's not like true, you know. The Bible is not, religion is not like this thing that helps you see through the confusion. You know? If anything, religion contributes to the confusion, manifests the confusion. Like, the parts I just don't understand. Like, how do the people that believe in God and believe that God answers prayers reconcile with the fact that the children are being raped by the clergy? And like, do you not think those children are praying, screaming, begging God to help them? Why isn't God doing anything? If God helps you get the job, or God helps, you know, I don't even know what kind of stupid shit people pray for. Everything, I guess, but like the arrogance, the insane arrogance it takes to believe that the God of the universe has a plan, everything's going according to plan, meaning you weren't going to get that job, but then you called God and he changed his mind. And you would think, like,
well, see, man's free will
right,
alters God's plans.
but see that when you yeah, but when you apply like butterfly effect reasoning to that, then God's plan can't exist. You know?
It's in pencil. It's malleable.
Right, but you see what I mean? Like
adventure.
Right, but God's plan would have been completely destroyed a long time ago. Because if you, like, let's say you leave your house and you drive, and on your way you get in this horrible car accident, and you know you're all fucked up, the other person dies, you know.
That's not how his plan works.
Wait. And then so the lives that are associated, so then, you know, you're all fucked up, your kids, then their lives are completely changed, which means their grandchildren's lives are completely changed, which means they're, you know, and this keeps going. Whereas if you would have left your house 2 minutes later, you'd have decided to brush your teeth a little bit longer or change your shirt, you wouldn't have gotten in that car accident. And now your life, your children's lives, your children's lives, your children's lives, the person that hit you or you hit their lives and their lives, and like all these butterfly effects are so much different, especially once you get a few generations away.
But God's the one that puts the spark in you to change your shirt, you know. And his plan doesn't work. His plan are just the chapter titles, and they're in pencil.
Yeah, see,
and it's choose your own adventure. The details within each chapter
right,
are up to you.
Right. This is just Angela's perspective. This is Angela's brilliant mind doing what it can to make sense of something that doesn't make any fucking sense. Because the truth is, you can't have a plan that is effect like if Angela has like I'm gonna start this business, and then it's up to everyone else's, you know, bullshit to make that happen. No, you can have all the plan you want. It doesn't matter. If the things don't work out that way, your plan is going to be adjusted. You know, I plan to go to to the store and buy a lottery ticket and win. Well, I bet that's not going to happen.
That's not God's plan, that's your plan.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. If I have the plan to go get that, that doesn't mean it's going to work out. That doesn't mean somebody else isn't going to buy the ticket, and that does, all these other things that happen, that could happen, that, oh, I planned on going, but then I got a phone call and this, that, and the other. And because I didn't go get the lottery ticket when I decided, when I first got that inkling, well, then I'm going to get a different lottery ticket than if I went 5 minutes later, 10 minutes later, an hour later. Especially if I have it pick the numbers for me. But it's such a, I have plans for my children. I have a plan. I hope, my oldest becomes a fantastic lawyer and does great things. And my youngest, he does amazing things with computers, and they change the world, and they live these really happy lives. At the very least, they live these really happy lives. I can have that be the plan all I want. Their actions are going to, dictate how that plan plays out. And the actions of those around them are going to dictate how that plays out. My plan is just my plan as the father. My plan is fantasy.
Your plan are hopes and dreams, whereas God can actually do stuff.
Yeah, but right. So then you say, okay, so because you say that, because that's how you think, then you go, okay, so God could then stop all the children from being raped by clergy.
Those children are supposed to be raped.
Exactly.
And whatever reason.
Exactly.
Their souls
and
need
then,
to learn the lesson of that traumatic experience.
Yeah. And for what?
To offer growth and enlightenment and move on to the next.
But that's not usually what happens. Usually what happens is those people are fucked up for the rest of their lives, and then fuck up other lives as they come across them.
I'm not saying it's not a sick perspective and
Hi from France. Hi to France.
But
But it doesn't make any sense. It's stupid. It's
a lot of reaching.
It's
faith, baby. You gotta have faith. Just blind faith. Just believe that you're not smart enough to understand it in full.
Well, so I'm watching this show earlier, and they're talking about monkeys, and they're talking about how the monkeys in the macaques in this part of the world are differ from the macaques in this part of the world, and these macaques have long tails, and these macaques have short tails. And it's believed that they, over time, evolved into having short tails because extremities are dangerous in cold weather. So they essentially, it's like evolution becomes intelligent in certain ways. Oh, shit. This tail is an extremity that will get cold, so we need to get rid of the tail. Yeah, the tail needs to go on this monkey, right? Evolution is God making decisions. But then again, we don't evolve into people that don't fucking rape children.
Well, maybe we do. Maybe the ones that don't are the ones that have already evolved.
Okay, but then the ones that don't should be eliminating those that do. And we don't. I mean, why haven't we evolved into, why haven't we evolved a third arm? Because it would make things a lot easier.
We were supposed to lose our baby toe,
right.
decades ago.
Right.
Still have not heard of multiple babies being born without a baby toe. So I don't know.
But like I say,
there are, people from the Mediterranean go to a colder climate and, generally have a harder time adapting.
Yeah, but they're acclimated. That's not that's not generations of evolution happening. That's you're a human that adjusts well. It takes a minute, but you adjust. That's not evolution. I mean,
The
it
babies
just
being
shows
born
you.
in Alaska are, they say, are naturally more resilient to colder temperatures than those born in, Africa.
Sure, because they're the environment they're in. They've adapted to the environment. They're not evolving. Like
They
this is just
treat
as
it
this is
like a genetic memory.
this is right. This is as stupid. It's evolution. The Big Bang is just God. It's just religion worked out differently. I'm not agreeing with religion or mentioning it at all. I stopped going to church a long time ago. Right? Why? Why? Did you stop going? Like my wife, her her split from it was personal. Was, when she did have an inkling of belief, I don't think she ever fully believed in it. But when she had that inkling of belief, and then negative shit would happen, and especially as a little girl, when you know her history and stuff, it
I
was
prayed for
probably
God
pretty
many
fucked up.
times.
Huh?
I prayed for God
Right.
many times when I was real little. And, then it wasn't like an inkling of a belief, it was a wanting of a belief because
Well, but it,
those that I loved the most, other than my mom, but like great grandma and everything, they were so super religious.
well,
So it's like I wanted to have what they had, but I just couldn't because it didn't feel right.
you didn't know any different. You like it's so hard for us to like we have this weird like embarrassment and like this weird thing like the shame of we were a kid. Like you were a kid.
Right.
And you were a kid who was born into a situation where that was normal. There wasn't a question. Nobody was questioning it.
Well,
Everybody believed it and everybody told you to believe it.
except for like I said, except for my mom, there were many times where Grayaya would make a comment about, God will take care of it, and mom would make some, sarcastic, like, yeah, right, I don't believe in, I don't believe that, or whatever, he's never been there for me, or whatever. So I did have that influence. I think that's why it made it easier for me to break. Now, if my mom had been in line with all of the rest of them, it would have taken a lot longer. It would have been a lot harder. And there's a
Probably.
lot of families like that
Probably. But see, again, that is still
because of what mom had gone through.
that's right. That's more personal shit.
Right.
So that's it's not even so at that
I
point.
wasn't there for her, so she's gonna break from it easier.
At that point, it's like exactly. It's this personal thing where you actually still believe it. It just didn't help you. It just wasn't there for you. So either you don't believe it or you don't believe it's gonna help. But it's like you still have that inkling of belief to have tried, to have prayed and tried because you believed it. That was what you were supposed to believe. So I think it's strange to like I don't have that. For me, it wasn't a personal thing as to why I never believed in God. It never made sense, but I would always just think like, you hear these stories on the news of another kid getting raped in a church, or you hear about, when we were kids, Africa was a big fucking deal. And the apartheid and the starvation and all of these really horrible things that were going on in Africa. And it's like, why doesn't God, being somebody, a person of color, learning the history of the United States and that they want us to know, not the real history, just the history they want us to know. And you see this, there's video of white people attacking black people for being black. I'm supposed to believe in a God that's cool with all that? Especially since those black people believe in the same God as the white people do? Let's see. I stopped because I never gained or felt any benefit from it. And the vibes I got in certain times at church seemed dark in nature, and I felt like, and in nature, like I felt it, but I can't explain it.
No, I understand. It's a very creepy, eerie, icky feeling.
Church is awful. Church is awful.
And you know the thing is too.
Which is why I can't understand why you would like it. Anyone.
The reason the personal is such a big part of it is because when you're little, those that are religious trying to push it on you always tell you over and over.
And they mean the world to you.
Always be there for you. In your greatest time of need, he will be there. Call out to him.
And these are the people that you're not supposed to question. Like,
well, and you trust. They said that they would be there for you, and they have been throughout your life. So they're telling you this person will be there too. So you.
And they're also an authority too, to where like you're not supposed to talk back to grandma. You're not supposed to talk back, and if grandma tells you this thing is thing, then you're supposed to believe it. You know, that's how you're raised, and I get that. I do.
So in your greatest time of need, when you call out and no God shows up, of course that's going to be the catalyst to cause you to question and lose your faith. You know?
Yeah, but the thing is, it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. Most of the time, not all of the time, that people pray out to God and it doesn't happen. It doesn't work. And yet you still end up believing it. So then for the people like you, Matt, there's something that's different that doesn't happen. Something happened with you that didn't happen with them.
Intelligence? I don't know.
That's a great point. Like that is a great point.
And not having the fear to be different, to go against, and to know you're going to get, grief, looks.
Yeah, but you absolutely have that fear. You have that fear in a lot of circumstances. And again, I'm not trying to fight or anything like that. I'm not. It's not a knock against you. It's how we're raised to be. And my wife is real big on my kids' socks matching. And that's to me, it's fucking silly. Like, this is what it is. But like to her, it's a really big deal. And it's like that's based in societal perception. So, like, how do we do that? How is it that, it's the same thing as with the whole truther thing. It's like, put your glasses on. It's like the people that there are so many truthers out there that pick and choose which parts they want to believe. And, instead of thinking that it's all bullshit, they think that, oh no, that part's real. That part from 200, 300, 500 years ago, that part's real. No kids go to church by choice. Not a single one. At least not initially, but then there are those fucking super religious kids. I mean, I used to, I can remember being a kid and learning like, oh, I probably shouldn't talk about this because everybody else seems to believe it. I would go to my family's house. Like, I know the whole, now I lay me down to sleep and pray the Lord my soul to keep. If I die before I wake, pray the Lord my soul. I know that one. What's the other one? Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Like, I know that shit. Because it was, I used to go to my cousin's house, to my aunt and uncle's house, and I would spend large pieces of time there. And, they did the prayers every night. And I remember, like, laying there and wanting to ask my cousin, like, do you really think there's something answering those Those prayers are something hearing you say that? Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. All right. It's fucking crazy. And these dumb Jays, these dumb Israelis, always trying to murder people, always doing stupid shit, stealing from the Americans. It's everywhere. But then you have the dumbass Americans who think it's that they're the good guys. His neighbor. Trying to let the neighbor hear some stuff because he's a douche. And the thing is, like, you know, if belief in God made the world a better place, who would I be to fucking try to stop that? That's the part of it that people just don't seem to get. You know, according to the narrative, Christianity has been kicking ass for 2,000 years and still can't get it right. They still haven't perfected things. And at the end of the day, like, if it was true, you wouldn't have to force it on people. You could just be like, oh, yeah, here, look at this. And they go, holy shit, I want to believe in that. You know, it's just crazy. I don't know. I don't know. To me, it's all about the J control at the end of the day. It's about keeping us distracted, keeping us stupid, and keeping us, you know, bitter and angry and depressed and, you know, all these things. Also, we don't look at them. It's just that simple. As long as genocide taking place at who our slave masters are, they don't really care what we talk about. They provide us with the majority of it to keep us focused. They know that people, lots and lots of people, aren't just going to be distracted by religion. So they have to, you know, come up with other shit for people to focus on. They have to come up with, you know, different keys to dangle in front of you. And as soon as you start saying, hey, wait, who's dangling those keys? Another set of keys comes in. And you're like, oh, look at the new keys. You know, the fact that I can go live repeatedly talking about similar shit every day, and that there is clearly a group of people that have issue with it, that take issue with it. They know what I'm going to talk about. At the very least, why don't they just pray to God, you know, tomorrow, can you give me the answers for can you you know, give me the med pack, boost my health, boost my stats, so I can have a reasonable conversation about this stuff? Because they just, you know, the alternative is the stupidity that you get over and over again. And it's you know, it's just interesting. I don't know, man. If it was up to choice, if it came down to choice, if I could just choose to be like everyone else, and, you know, if I could just believe in it, then I could sell it. And if I could sell it, I'll make $1 zillion. You know, I could make $1 zillion easily selling you guys religion. selling the fact that the Jesus narrative, especially when you look at my birthdays, all the birthdays and the names and all that shit associated with my family. There are so many people out there that, like, I've had people that believe more than I do when I'm telling. They're like, oh no, dude, that is pretty crazy. Maybe maybe it is something. Like, I've had people believe in that. The 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 way I think and this whole personality, like if I could just choose to stop being like this, I would. If I could stop wasting time talking to 10 people, talking on a obviously censored feed. Oh, Jesus Christ, look at these dumb fucking people. The ad hominem is all you have. And it's just, if I'm wrong, why is it that everybody has to resort to that? And the fact is, they don't even, you're never going to get the reason why they're here. Like the one broad yesterday, the dumb broad, said, well, for starters, maybe it was the day before, for starters, he doesn't believe in submarines. If my belief in submarines affects you that much, that you would come to my feed for months at a time, hours each day, trying to talk shit, like, how does that even work? Can you imagine if genocide affected you that much? Can you imagine if pedophilia affected you that much? Apparently it doesn't. And that's, that ends up being like the sort of the crux of it all. Like, doesn't that bother you? Don't you think it's strange that you are more affected by my personal thoughts than you are what's you're told, what's actually happening right now? What's been happening? How does anything I do outweigh the fact that the Jays consistently rape people, especially children, in Hollywood? How does that, where's the comparison there? Why would we, I just can't, other than you're a pedophile and you're a J and or you're a J, I don't understand where the motivation would come to ignore that shit. No, but you don't think submarines are real. Okay. And all of these same people would be the first ones to be begging people for help if one of their family was affected by this. That's the thing that would then make you go, oh, wait a minute, we should be talking about this. It's just like I say, like my neighbor with her thing, she had this really, like, deep experience, and it was scary and it was intense, and it was, the one time in her life where she's really cried out to God and God wasn't there for her. So now she's questioning it all. And she's older than I am. And I just think, like,
She's older than I am.
That's fucking insane. Like, that is crazy. I don't think therere's rocks. We have rocks that aren't that old. Um, but I look at her and I just think like, cool, that's great that you finally are questioning it, but like, what about the genocide? What about the pedophilia? What about the J control of our system and our government and Trump and all? What about all that wasn't enough to make you question the reality of the narrative? How did you reconcile that? How did you continue to like it happens to you and now you're like, oh my God, but you were just before you were like, yeah, well, must be part of God's plan then that all those Christian Palestinians are getting fucking murdered. Bombs, American made, American paid for taxpayer bombs are being dropped on innocent, mostly women and children because all the men have either been killed or taken hostage already. Like, that's sort of my biggest issue, I guess, is like the selfishness, it's weird. It's weird. I don't get that. I don't get where oh, it finally happens to me. Like, that sucks. If shit has to happen to you before you care about it, like, I don't wish that shit to happen to you or your family. I don't wish you to have to deal with one of your family members being, your the children in your family being raped. That's horrible. I don't wish that upon anybody. I as much as I hate the Jays, the fact that they mutilate and molest their own at 8 days after they're born, that's a problem to me. Like I say, as much as I hate them, I still don't want that to happen to the children. And I don't understand where your walls are, how you can put up the blinders and shit in those scenarios. And yeah, well, it's God's plan. And then, of course, it's not like you even know the shit. You don't actually know it. The vast, vast majority of you Christians out there believe that we landed on the moon. Believe that we're on a ball going 67,000 miles per hour through space, flying around the sun thanks to gravity while it spins at 1,000 miles per hour. You believe that shit. And it absolutely goes against your bullshit religion. But again, I don't think you know it. If you read Revelations is about a Jew hanging out with Jew gods, being told about the what's going to happen for the Jews, and then there's the little part that's about the Gentiles, but it's not about Christians. Like, it's not a Christian thing. And yet somehow you think it is. You should only believe what's feasible. How can you idiots not understand the simplicity of that? Because it's their job. Like, really, these people don't speak like people. These are bots. You should overcomplicating everything. Right. It's because it's like, again, it's that little kid thing where you look around you and everybody else is, you're at the table. And it's okay, bow your head and you look and all the trusted people around you have bowed their head and closing their eyes, and now they say the little ritual shit, and okay, that's what we're supposed to do. I used to hate it when I would go to a friend's house to spend the night or whatever, and the family would say grace. And I just refused. Like, I wouldn't, I'd just sit there and I'd be looking at all of them while they were doing it. And I'd just be like, do you know how stupid this is? What are you thanking God for? She cooked it. He worked for it. Like a bunch of Mexicans picked it. Like, what are you talking about? Funny, I mentioned the Earth shape, and the same doofus that always shows up at the same time, shows up. Hasn't been here the last couple days, but shows up right on time. Because that's how things work, right? That's how random internet that's available to billions of people, and just, it just happens to work out that way. Must be in God. And I mean, the whole space narrative, like, you can see why you believe it, why they make you believe it. But again, the part where it's that Christians, like how they've gotten Christians to accept a narrative that literally goes against the first thing in their Bible. It's not like it's hidden deep within the Bible. The first thing God does after it turns on the light, because it doesn't make the sun and the moon until the fourth day. So I don't know how you can have a day without the sun and the moon and all that shit to begin with, but I guess time is a unit of measure. So if we're talking about a 24-hour time span, that's one thing. But then when you ask the Christians, they're like, one day is 1,000 years for God, and so who knows what's actually being talked about there. But after God turns on the light, the first thing it does is creates the firmament, the indestructible dome, separating the waters of heaven from the ground down below. Like, it's the very first thing you're supposed to believe, and yet you want to argue about, a completely contradictory thing. And the thing is, you want to talk about faith, both things require only faith. There's no evidence. The evidence that you're given is fake. It's admittedly fake. When you look up the whole Blue Marble series from NASA, they flat out admit that all of that shit is artist renditions. This is just conceptions. These aren't actual pictures. And the idea of space creates anxiety, right? And if you believe in space, that there is this ball flying around in space, spinning at all this blah blah blah, then you inherently accept the idea that dinosaurs existed. And then you have to accept that the rock fell out of the sky to wipe the dinosaurs out, meaning at any point another rock could fall out of the sky, and according to them, we're actually long overdue. So you in the back of your mind, you have this doomsday scenario always there, on top of your other doomsday scenario. Because you have to remember that you're all waiting for your Jesus to come back, so that 6.5 to 7 billion people can die. So you can maybe go to heaven early. Like, this is all just anxiety. This is all just assault. It's designed to make you feel like shit. Matt, I don't even read their comments anymore. I see who's making them, and I just ignore it. Because I've said, unless they're willing to prove that they're a real person, make the Guy Williams Sucks video, what they have to say doesn't matter. These are just bots as far as I'm concerned. So once I see the Guy Williams Sucks video and I see it, then I will acknowledge your comments yet again. But until that point, we're just going to continue on like they're not even here. All they're doing is making the feed better. And when you think about it, like how many live feeds do you think exist where the viewers keep begging for the host to acknowledge them and the host refuses to and they stick around? Does that happen a lot? Like, it's one thing when the comments are going so fast the host can't read them.
There aren't enough scientists out there to cover the kind of territory that we would like to cover, and it's nice to know.
But when they flat out say, look, I don't even care, I don't even read your shit, who's going to stick around? Like, I could see maybe you being mad and sticking around for a little bit talking shit. But to come back for months at a time, that's just strange, don't you think? Just, you know, when you, if you're new or if you're just watching whatever, understand that if I'm wrong, it shouldn't be an issue. It should be that people just come through and, no, dude, you're wrong about this and that and the other.
To be missing somebody on that list.
In just under 2 weeks, Trump has emerged as the front runner in this poll. Greatest threat to world peace. Yeah, no Netanyahu.
Right. The most important one is missing. I haven't even heard of a couple of those guys.
Should ask where Netanyahu is. Wait, you should do, let me see. Because this is shared, right? Oh, no, she didn't share it. I thought she shared it from an original post. I mean, it's all just bullshit. Trump is an actor. Like, literally, remember how he was on a TV show for like 12 years before he was allowed to be president? You know, it's I don't know, it's a little disheartening. But it you have to know what's going on. Like when you accept what's going on instead of just hiding from it, it it changes things. The reality is Team Jorge is not a conspiracy theory. Team Jorge is 100% fact, and it's just a small piece. But it's they don't even hide it from us. If you look, you can find it. Maybe they hide it in like those kinds of things where they show you pictures or whatever, but where the news is doing it. But it's not like the Samson option is something that you have to search to find. It's not like Operation Cast Thy Bread is something that you would have to really, really know how to get to. You can screen record the videos and send it to people that way and keep it forever. There's no need. Who's on the list? My list? Look, if you're not, if you're one of these people who refuses to denounce pedophilia and genocide and all that shit, if you're just one of these shit talkers and you don't contribute to the feed in any sort of meaningful way, it's just a weird shit talk, That's who's on the list. So anybody can earn their way on. But, you know, at the end of the day, why would I keep reading stupid comments? It's stupid. They might as well be laying on the fucking keyboard and me trying to sound that shit out.
So, what I said was, because I am very good friends with her, and I don't know what her background is.
See? And that's that right there, that says more than anything. Because my wife does not want to upset someone by telling the truth and then having them respond to her as a typical piece of shit would.
No,
She's going to, that's not you. It's nothing. It's,
but I'm telling you that's not the case here. I am telling her the truth, but I'm doing it in a way that won't close her ears.
if you would have just said, where's Netanyahu?
I said, actually, they're missing the real number one, Netanyahu. But Trump is a very close second. That's who Cheeto Head takes his orders from, but that's also a rabbit hole most people want to walk right past.
Right. I get it. I
So
get
I
it.
did say that.
You did. You absolutely did. I'm just saying, like, we do that a lot. I get that excuse a lot. Oh, I'd share, but I don't want to upset people. Well, nothing I'm saying should upset anyone who's not doing it. You know, even if you're a dumb J, if I'm wrong, then you should show me what I'm wrong about. You know, by acting the way that typical people do, all you're doing is validating the claim. Google even tells you who they are. Wikipedia too. Yeah, it's they're almost bragging about it. And like I say, Team Jorge explains all of it. Team Jorge is an extension of Hollywoodism. But Team Jorge is, you know, it's one, just one. There's probably hundreds, if not thousands of, I know, I've seen this episode 1,000 times. They're just one. Team Jorge is one group. They could belong to other groups for all I know. But I know that Team Jorge exists. And Team Jorge is exactly, like I predicted Team Jorge, if you will. I used to claim that that's what, you know, Israeli black ops, controlling social media, yada, yada, yada. This was the claim for the whole time. You know, it was the whole time. And then when you get that validation, I mean, again, it's I know, I already know that. You know, you don't have to tell me that, but I know it. And it's just strange. Like, it seems like you should be able to, like, as sensitive as everyone is, as quick to fight, as quick to argue, and you know, easily hurt as everyone is. When you try to talk about this true aspect of who is creating the negativity in our lives, like, you would think that people would be more receptive, more sensitive to it. And yet, because of the circular programming that they have, where they've programmed you to be a Christian, so then you're before you even acknowledge who the bad guy is, you've been calling them your Christian God's chosen people. You've been repeatedly told that you're not allowed to even talk about them. You've been told that saying the word Jew is a bad word, when that's how they refer to themselves. Like, there's nothing negative about that. But it's all about, it's that buffer, it's that protection. Yep. I ran about the same 3 things every day, and yet dumb people like you, who clearly watch all the time, you can't actually, I'm going to talk about it. So instead of coming at the situation with some reasonable argument or information, you, like a normal person who has everything else going on in their life, wants me to stop talking about this on my YouTube, right? My YouTube matters so much that this person wants me to stop. Think about how stupid that is, and how like Israeli stupid that is, right? Where it's if you open the books on Israel, you demonize Israel kind of mentality, where they think that that's a good thing when instead it says a lot more about Israel than I think they realize. It's the same thing here. If you don't like what I'm doing or saying, just don't watch. Seems pretty simple, right? Just don't watch. Or, which would be even better, which I encourage you to do, is educate yourself and come at me with some, reasonable arguments. You have to be willing to be wrong, and if you're wrong, you have to acknowledge it. Because if you don't acknowledge something stupid, like you think airplanes fly at thousands and thousands of miles per hour, only to come to find out they only fly at about 500 miles per hour, 600 tops, and you don't want to acknowledge it, like you're going to lose all credibility. Speaking of which, I can't stress how strange it is that when you really start like asking the questions, how much does a 747 weigh? It weighs 405,000 pounds, empty, not with all the fat people on it. Then you how much fuel does it hold? 63,000 gallons. Most of it is in the wings, and apparently there's a small little compartment in the back where some of it goes. 63,000 gallons. You like thinking about how big 63. Let me see what a 63,000 gallons. I wonder what that looks like. 63. Hmm. 63,000 gallon tank. Okay. This is a 64,000 gallon bolted steel tank for national storage. So this holds 64,000 gallons. Look at the size of the car next to it. That much fuel is in an airplane.
I mean, a car looks small next to an airplane, too.
That much liquid fuel. It doesn't look that small. That much. Look at that. That's an SUV.
Wings are filled with that fuel.
Right. That's liquid fuel. You got to keep saying liquid because liquid sloshes.
Right. It sloshes less if there's very little air.
At first, then. So, I mean, once you start using it, though. So then when it's down to like 43,000, it's got to be like...
That's why it's hard to keep your wings steady because of the sloshing.
Mm-hmm.
Shut up.
Seriously. Look at the size of the fucking car. That is a minivan, actually. That is 64,000. That's 1,000 more gallons than the average 747 holds. Now, this isn't I'm not making anything up. I'm providing you with evidence, at least according to what you require, what you decide, what you accept as evidence. I'm showing you guys. This is what they say. They say 63,000 gallons are in a 747. That thing holds 64,000 gallons. What are we talking about? Well, weed isn't a drug, so I'm not sure what drug you're talking about. It's just desperate shit, dude. It's just desperate shit. You know? They're desperately trying to get my attention. Cause I don't matter and everything I'm saying is false. That's why they spend so much of their lives, their precious life that they'll never get back, on my feed. Trying to get my attention because I'm wrong, right? I'm making up this whole thing about 63,000 gallons and the wings of the plane. Remember, it's and again, that tank, that big 64,000 gallon tank that you just saw, is not in the whole 747. Its majority is, I thought it was all in the wings. Somebody said the other day that there's a compartment in the back of the plane where some of the fuel goes. Can't be that big a compartment though. I've seen where the 63,000 gallons would go. You haven't. Dude, did you see what I just showed you was 63,000 gallons? Did you see it? You're telling me that would fit into plane wings? We're talking about liquid fuel? And then that 63,000 gallons weighs, oh, I can't remember what it was. It weighs like 480,000 pounds. Jet fuel weighs 68 or 6.8 pounds. Okay, so 63,000 times 6.8. 428,400 pounds. Oh, okay. So the Boeing maximum takeoff weight varies by model, ranging from, okay, but that's not, what's the, is this the plane maximum take? They're saying maximum takeoff weight. So does that mean what the plane weighs itself, or what it weighs when fueled up with people in it? Maximum weight of its own. They keep saying that. That's really weird. Why do they keep saying that? The maximum weight is 910,000 pounds. This is equivalent to 35 double-decker buses. Again, it's really weird because it just keeps showing me the same thing. The maximum takeoff weight. I don't want to know what the maximum takeoff weight is. Maximum takeoff weight. Don't want to know what the maximum takeoff weight is. Why can't I just find the weight of the fucking plane itself? That's so strange. But even still, so if the maximum takeoff weight is 910,000 pounds, combined with the gravity that's pulling on every square inch of that plane, there's supposedly 1 million pounds flying up in the air like that. Roughly 1 million pounds is just flying up around in the air. Jet fuel costs $6.25 per gallon. Wow. 63,000 times 6.25 equals $393,750 in gasoline alone, in jet fuel alone. That people will tell you it's not chemtrails, it's them doing a fuel dump. They're dumping fuel that is that expensive. How would that make sense to anyone? Especially to dump it just out in the air so it just falls on people? How wrong you are. I'm actually quite opposite. One of the only seemingly real authentic people here. Well, I mean, again, it's not like they're going to address what's being said. Fuel doesn't go in the belly. That's where the luggage goes, you dumb shit. Fuel goes in the wings. Where is fuel stored in an airplane? There's a nice picture for you. That's where it's stored. 63,000 gallons. That's where it's stored. The red part. That big ass tanker fits into that.
I didn't think the wings were that deep to accommodate. You know what I mean? Like,
and it's all made of aluminum. Right? That's all aluminum and shit. Doesn't show any compartment in the tail. It doesn't show that. That's because I know you guys all know more than I do. So then I'm stupid and I look it up and that's the shit it says. That's what it shows you time and time again. Picture after picture. Oh, look, we've got a little bit in the tail now too. Now there's just a little bit in those tail wings, which are, you know, how big do you think that could possibly be? 63,000 gallons. The reality is, here I am off on one of these obvious submarines aren't real kind of tangents. And we're not talking about how the Israelis continue to murder innocent people. What's up?
a Jewish lady answered.
Oh.
Responded to me.
What did she say? Let's see what she had to say.
Hold on. I'm responding to it.
Yeah, I see the dark part. Yeah, no, I see it. And I know how big planes are, and that big ass tanker doesn't fit into that small ass space.
Okay, so she said, actually, the bigger threat is Putin, since his threat is actually global, as is the threat Trump poses. All the others really are regional threats. Looking at it from a global standpoint, Putin's manipulation of all corners of the earth makes him the biggest threat to the world, especially since he owns Trump and is in cahoots with Iran and China. My response simply was, they all answer to Israel.
You should have said, does Putin get $3.8 billion a year of American taxpayer dollars?
The argument with that, because I've said that to a couple people, the argument with that is...
Just because there's an argument doesn't mean you don't say it.
They're the only country that didn't have a tariff imposed. They don't get 3.8 billion.
That's not true.
They're not getting any tariffs.
That's not true.
Israel's getting 17%.
No. They get $3.8 billion every year as a base. Taxpayer dollars, cash. There's no, oh, but this or oh, but that. This extends to way before Trump. This is, you know, this has nothing to do with Trump or with any of those other people. It's the same fucking narrative. There isn't any fuel tanks in the tail. Dark. Yeah. See, again, you're just wrong. It shows you that. I mean, come on. This is just pointless. Look, it's showing. Dark part in the tail. Little tiny area. Yep. See? Dark part. See the dark part? See the dark part? But even still, that doesn't fit 63,000 gallons of fuel. But it doesn't matter. These are the things, these are the pieces of the narrative that are the lie that show you the bigger narrative is a bigger lie. But you just, if you don't want to see it, you won't. I mean, this is a common sense argument. I'm not sitting here pretending like I'm some aviation expert. I'm saying from a common sense point of view, you know, when you think about like your car has a, 20-gallon tank in it? There's a drastic difference between how your car performs full and empty. And that's just 20, 30 gallons of gas. Gas actually weighs less than jet fuel too, I think, by a little bit. Sorry, I've got to get my lines together. Oh, yeah. Give me that cocaine. Woohoo. Love it. You know, these are the, I mean, it really, it's the same sort of shit. Like, to me, the whole Tartaria thing is such a smoking gun. But at the same time, it's supposed to be, so it is. You know? Like, it's this is all the shit where it's all a lie. That way, you know, it's all controlled. If you had little truth pockets, those truth pockets would expand and would start looking into more and more truth. They have to control it from all aspects. And it's pretty obvious that's what they're doing. You know, it's you know, shoved in our faces. It's there for you to see it. You're supposed to have an issue with it. You're supposed to be confused by it and then not have anywhere to go. And feel that anger, that frustration that they then call depression and drug you up. Belch. It's all Israel. And Israel's just the invisible house. It's all the Jays. It's all them. Start to finish, across the board. You know, it's there's no way around it. You know, you can't, there's a reason why you can't come up with anything. There's a reason why I talk about the same three things every day for months, for years now, decades. And there's no opposition. It's just crybaby stupidity. Pay attention to me stuff. You know, the blind faith we have, it extends into so many aspects of our lives. And then all of those aspects are controlled by the one entity. You know, you're such a piece of shit if you're a Christian. You sit up on this high horse that you're holier than thou, and you live this good Christian life, blah blah blah, and yet you turn a blind eye to the pedophilia and genocide happening in your own shit. At the end of the day, the only thing you're concerned about is your own personal salvation, which is what you've been told to do. That's part of the programming. You don't get to be a Christian if you are going to focus on the bigger picture and ask questions you're not supposed to ask. And I find it fascinating, man. You know, the day I see somebody go into a airplane fuel compartment and stand up and walk all around it and show me that it's big enough to you know, to walk around and to hold the 63,000 gallons. It's the day I believe it. And even then, I still would have questions because it's. But see, this is what I mean. It's there to confuse us. It's there to distract us. There's nothing else we should be talking about. We should only be talking about the J control. That's what facilitates the genocide. That's what facilitates the religious bullshit. That's what facilitates the pedophilia. It's all there because of the J bullshit. And if you're somebody that truly wants to make the world better, truly wants a better life for even yourself, you have to start acknowledging what the problem is. And fuck, if anything, if I'm wrong, tell me what I'm wrong about and tell me what it is instead. And I want to say, what other country relies on illegal? Oh my God, this guy is such a racist. He's such a racist. He spends all of his time thinking about these illegal immigrants whose mom and dad didn't fuck while here like his parents did. His parents fucking here. His mom not swallowing this one load. She swallowed plenty of other loads, but this load she didn't swallow. And he's here because he got born here, so that makes him better. The people that want to come work here so that we can have better lives, they're worse. That's what he wants to focus on. Not on the big picture. $3.8 billion a year, nothing. You know, to think about like that's what you spend your time thinking about, is the thing you're told to think about. You would know nothing about the illegal immigrant situation if not for the fucking TV telling you to. You'd know nothing. You're not affected by it. Mm-hmm. But this is how you want to pretend. And the truth is, I wouldn't know anything about the Israeli stuff either if not for social media. Social media is the thing that has shown me the truth. Because the system I'm in is controlled by them. And does everything it can to manipulate me and you into thinking that they're the good guys. You're extremely racist. I could say the same thing about yours. No, you couldn't. You can't say the same thing because it's not true. The Israeli J argument is us giving tax dollars to another country to commit genocide. That's not us giving money to people coming here to make our lives better. And that part that you just don't like to address is the idea that you're 30 million immigrants that you seem to think exist somehow. If they were taxed, it wouldn't even come close to $3.8 billion. And $3.8 billion is the least amount of money that Israel gets every year. They actually get a shit ton more. But you don't want to talk about these things. You don't like the reality. You're like, brown people bug me. You work with a bunch of brown people and you say you like those guys, but you don't. You think those guys that are working where you work their asses off. They work a hard fucking job. Those guys, they're bad because the system that's rigged against them, especially with Trump in office, is trying to do everything it can to make them the problem while taking your fucking money. You work at McDonald's for 8-10 hours a day so that Israel can drop bombs on fucking civilians. They're taking your McDonald's tax dollars and giving it to Israel. You work real hard for that, don't you? The corporation does what's best for the corporation. Well, no. The corporation does what's best for the higher-ups. Because if the corporation is failing, it's the higher-ups that get paid while it's the low-level people that actually make it happen that find themselves asked out one day. Oh, yeah. You know those pensions you paid into? Well, we're not going to honor them. Yeah, no. No, you can't get your money anywhere else. That's just it. It's done. It's gone. You're not getting that pension. Or
you paid into.
Or you know what? How about this? We'll give you 20 cents on the dollar. Okay? Either it's 20 cents on the dollar or it's nothing. Which one do you want? That's your money. You paid into it. We told you that you weren't going to be responsible enough on your own. So we had to take money from you so that when you were older, you'd have something to rely on. And all the people that die early, who've been paying into their pensions and shit, well, we don't then find their families and give them that money. We just take it. We just take it. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, again, you guys are talking about, like, the United States is a corporation, no doubt, but there's no comparable, like, there's no brick and mortar comparable corporation. The United States is, as a corporation, its main product is slaves. That's the United States' main commerce, is slaves. Whether it's slave labor or outright, slaves, for whatever purposes you may deem necessary. The United States, along with all the other mini corporations all over the place, is involved in slave trade. It's slave trade so that small groups of people, namely Jays, can live lives that you and I could only dream of. Their lives are better than you can imagine. Like, they have access to food that you could only imagine how good it is. They have access to technology that you don't even think is possible. They have access to the drugs that make you feel so fucking amazing without any negative side effects. And then they tell us, oh, it's adrenochrome. We get it from brains from children. Ooh, stay away from it. And you're like, fuck yeah. I don't want anything to do with that adrenochrome. That comes from babies and fear glands. And you're like, oh shit, I'm going to stay away from that. They make black women into caricature fucking clown, when it comes to religion, black women are just the goofiest. And so then they put out the narrative that the bad guys worship Satan. The bad guys are Satan worshipers. And so when you then go to try to talk to somebody about that, especially black women, they go, oh, no. I don't want nothing to do with no Satan. You keep that away from me. I heard about those Illuminatus. They worship the Satan, and I ain't down with that. Oh, no. Hail Mary, Jesus. And you're like, no, what are you talking about? Like, But that's what they do. Look at, oh, here's a picture of them in their dark robes. Ooh, they got the robes on. Ooh, they look like wizards. Ooh. It's what they do. It's how they control things. And now tariffs, baby. Except all other countries are in. Like, you're so dumb. You're excited about tariffs because you think you're going to benefit from the corporation making more money. Again, this is somebody that doesn't understand if we just stop giving Israel $3.8 billion to murder people, that's going to make the money a lot better for everybody. $3.8 billion distributed amongst the people, that's good money. Or amongst programs, that's good money. And then all of the other money that goes in on top of that, all of the equipment, all of the everything else that's given to them. Oh no, they buy that stuff. They buy those weapons. They buy the weapons using the money we gave them. Or on top of the $3.8 billion, there are also all of these military grants set aside. So anytime they want something, a military grant will pay for that. Like, you guys don't want to have the big boy conversation. You guys want to talk about fairy tale devils and you know, the Jesus superhero going to come fix all the problems so we don't have to. Oh, and it's the bad guys are those damn immigrants that come here and work so hard for less money and poor treatment, living in absolute fear all the time.
And not getting to live in the nice places because they don't have proper documentation.
Can you imagine the fear?
They can't apply for a nice apartment in a safe, nice complex.
Have you ever had your tabs go bad? And, you know, you can't afford to get it done for another couple weeks. You just need to get through that next couple weeks so you can get the tabs done.
And it seems like you see a cop everywhere and you panic.
Right, the panic you feel. And all you're going to do is get a ticket. If these people get caught, they get uprooted. They get sent back to a place or sent to a place. They don't know. It's not like they go, oh man, you sent me back. All right, let me go to my mansion. And I'm just going to, you know, I'll try again later. But while you send me back, they're dropped off. They don't know anything. They get dropped off wherever the fuck we decide to drop them off at. If we even do that. I would imagine a lot of those people never make it home. They're never seen or heard from again.
Well, and a lot of them, you know, they have other family here, wives, kids, whatever.
Right.
And it's not like the wives and kids could be like, oh, don't take dad, because then they'll just take them too.
Well, no, no. I mean, if their kids are illegal, yes. If the kids were born here, then a lot of times they make exceptions, but.
Nah, I don't know what's going to happen.
Not now, yeah, who knows now?
You know, the other thing that it's affecting, the whole, if your name doesn't match your birth certificate, you no longer have the right to vote. So that's married women that have changed their names. That is transgender people that have legally changed their names, gone through their transition, blah, 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 everything's legal. They won't be able to. And adopted people. Adopted people won't be able to vote. So that's going to affect you white Christian men that never have to worry about your rights being stripped. If you're adopted and your last name doesn't match your birth certificate, you won't be able to vote either. Are you upset now?
These kinds of stories, I don't know how much I believe. Even if the story comes out, it'll get pulled back. It's more of like a fear propaganda thing. They can't do something like that. You know? Poor treatment and living in fear all the time sounds like they may be better being legal in their country. Like, you're just so stupid. I don't even understand. Like,
your ancestors were not legal at first.
But your ancestors came and took the land from the people that lived here. These people are coming here to work in horrible conditions because there's better opportunity here in that regard. Because again, there's this invisible border that goes along the south, and you know, we gotta we got to be separate from the country we're connected to. Like, it's actually pretty crazy because you would think, like, Mexico is fucking beautiful. Like, you would want to live there. If it was as developed as it is here, you would absolutely want to live there. It's so much nicer there.
That's why Trump wants to make Mexico part of the United States. So he could go build shit down there and have it, you know, be a beautiful oasis.
Again, I don't... All that stuff is... Like, when we start talking about global politics, we're talking about WWE. We're talking about a play. And the only way we can actually do something about it is if we see it for what it is, unify and overthrow it. It really, like, you can foolishly focus on stupid things like, oh, it's the immigrants. Again, there's just... It's hard to fight against racism. Because racism generally comes from, like, at some point some Mexican beat you up. Or, you know, you were violated by someone of, you know, whatever it is. You live in this racist society and then something happens to you. You know, you've been beaten up by plenty of white guys, but then a Mexican beats you up and now all Mexicans are bad. You know? But it's such a time-tested, well-used distraction. You know, you go look at the newspapers that supposedly existed from back in early America, and you hear the same sort of narrative about black people, especially in the like, you know, 50s and 60s and shit. Black people are trying to impregnate white women and you know, do all this crazy shit. There are plenty of black guys out there that don't find white women attractive. I'm sure it's fucking really reasonable, intelligent shit.
Yeah, I'm not even doing that right now.
Why not?
Because I don't have it today.
There you go. Well, and she's going to feel her superiority and think you ran away. I mean, facts are easy to present. They literally are the worst people in the world. I mean, why aren't you reading what she said? I want to hear this brilliance. Anyway, it's just a waste of time. What? You read it?
Yes.
Oh, I was just getting off. Chill out. You want me to read it? I'll read it.
No. I don't want you answering it.
Right, because that's what I would do. Anyway, I'm done. No, it's cool. I'm gonna.
Oh, she must have deleted it.
Yeah, it's what they do.
Or she blocked me.
Yeah, they say their piece and then they run away. Anyway, everyone, have yourself a wonderful day. Pedophiles, kill yourself. Go get your free stuff from the links that'll be in the description. www.the-bilderberg-group.com. And like I say, go watch Hollywoodism, and pedophiles, go kill yourself.